Good Wednesday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather with Sim again. I hope you guys are all having a great day so far. And in today's weather forecast, we are going to be going over Major Hurricane Milton, which is still a pretty strong hurricane as of right now. It started dying down a little bit because it just went from 65 miles per hour all the way back down to 60 miles per hour. And even the latest from the satellite view kind of also indicates that's dying down a little bit, but the latest from the National Hurricane Center does still say it could make landfall as a Category 3 to maybe even a Category 4 hurricane. We'll have to see how strong it is before it impacts Florida, but really looking like a concerning situation, and we'll also be going over all the impacts we can expect with Milton. But if you are new here to the YouTube channel, or if you guys haven't subscribed already, make sure to go down below and click that subscribe button. I do appreciate you guys getting me up there, or at least closer to 600 subscribers. So if you guys will please subscribe to my YouTube channel, that would be great. Also, don't forget to leave a thumbs up too as well. Those help out more than you know. And also make sure to leave any questions, comments, or concerns down below too as well. Especially if it's respectful, feel free to leave any of that down below. But let's look at the latest from the satellite imagery, and as you guys can see, Milton sure is getting closer to Florida, as Florida is just located right there, and Milton is just well offshore, just to the north of Cuba. So this definitely is starting to get closer to making landfall, but this will still have a little bit more time to do a few more things, as it's gonna head to the northeast. If it went straight east, it wouldn't have a lot of time to do any of that stuff, but instead it's heading more towards the northeast, which will give it more time to die down, thankfully, because it's going to interact with some wind shear and perhaps some dry air that will be around Florida, and that could very well cause this to die down pretty quickly. So we'll have to see how much it dies down, but because it's already a Category 5 hurricane still, like I said, it was 165 miles per hour, but now it died down to 160 miles per hour, which is still considered a Category 5 hurricane. This will not take much to, still be strong because of how organized it still is. And, it's not as organized, like I said, the eye, kind of moving a little bit out of the center kind of does indicate that it may be dying down, but I mean, it's still staying pretty strong right there. I mean, that does look like a beast still, so make sure to be prepared if you do live in Florida. Let's now go ahead and take a look at the overall tropics, and as you guys can see, we do have quite a bit of hurricane activity across the Atlantic Ocean, as we got Hurricane Leslie out there, but our main concern right now is Hurricane Milton, as getting ready to impact Florida, like I said. We also got another area of development right here that, already upgraded to a 50% chance of development during the next 48 hours in 7 days, and thankfully this will be just to the south there of Bermuda, so whatever develops will more than likely head out to sea, so we won't need to worry about this too much. Same with this will more than likely head out to sea too as well, but this is just getting ready to come off of Africa, and this will more than likely have somewhat a chance of development by the time we head into the end of this week. But like I said, it's not going to impact any land, so everyone is going to be fine. Let's now go ahead and take a look at how much rainfall we could see with Hurricane Milton as it does come on shore. And as you guys can see, we do have some really high rainfall totals that we're extremely concerned about. We're talking anywhere from 12 to 16 inches of rainfall in this red color, which does include areas north of Tampa Bay and north of Orlando, where that area of red right there is where we do expect there to be the highest rainfall amounts. But even areas back over here in extreme western Tampa Bay, especially those islands in the Tampa Bay, and even that little hook shaped land right there, kind of just to the west there of Tampa, that area could definitely experience anywhere from 6 to 20 inches, guys, of rainfall. And this even does include Clearwater too as well. I forgot that Clearwater was actually on this piece of land too as well, so Clearwater could definitely see anywhere from 16 to 20 inches inches of rainfall, just depending on how exactly the system's set up. But unfortunately, it really does look to be a major problem, so definitely get ready. Let's now go ahead and take a look at the storm surge forecast, and the latest from the National Hurricane Center is still calling anywhere from 10 to 15 feet of storm surge across the Tampa Bay area. And that's kind of surprising, by the way, especially because the area of landfall moved a little bit farther down to the south, pretty much in this area right here. So it's still interesting that Tampa Bay could still see the highest storm surge, guys. And I mean, it does not take the max amount of winds to really cause this much storm surge. It's more about how long they last, especially because if they just continue pushing water after gust and doesn't even stop for a while, that could really add up quickly. So that's one of the reasons why Tampa Bay could see the highest storm surge, is because of how long those winds could be lasting for. So definitely get ready for maybe even some potentially historic storm surge across the Tampa Bay area. But even down here towards Baca Grande, and even down there towards the Charlotte Harbor area, and even all the way down there towards the Florida Keys should also be on high alert for storm surge. Let's now go ahead and take a look at the model track guidance with Major Hurricane Milton. And Major Hurricane Milton does have good agreement on making landfall just to the south there of Tampa Bay. But like I said, it is really interesting how that high storm surge could still occur in the Tampa Bay. And like I said, it's a little bit, it makes a little bit more sense that it has to do more, with how long the winds last than it has to do, really with how powerful the winds are. It still has to do with both, but more about, how long the winds last. And this will continue, into more than likely areas in between Sarasota and down there towards Fort Myers. So somewhere around that area is where we're expecting a direct hit with this hurricane, and then we'll likely move right over areas just to the south of Orlando, and then continue potentially, over the East Coast too, as well as still a hurricane. So we'll definitely keep an eye on it. Here's the latest from the models, just to let you guys know on kind of how the models are doing with Milton. And yeah, like I said, it is still a Category 5 hurricane, and that's exactly what the models right there show too as well. But most do show that it will continue to die down back down to a Category 4. And like I said, this could still be a Category 4 hurricane by the time it makes landfall, and that's especially if this is still able to stay really organized and kind of ignore that dry air and wind shear around. But we will definitely keep an eye on it, and then it will continue to die down back to Category 3, then a Category 2, and then it should be over Central Florida as a Category 2 or Category 1 hurricane, and that's, areas for Orlando. So obviously not the worst impacts, but will still be an area that could still get some significant damage from the system, as it still does look to be on the stronger side of things. Let's now go ahead and look at the severe weather risk for today. Now, we are expecting landfall later today, so do expect there to, be a lot of hazards, including the threat for tornadoes, as we do have an enhanced risk for severe weather across Sarasota, down there towards Fort Myers, even Millbound. Those areas in Florida are likely to see some extreme, tornadoes today, as the tornado threat for today is actually super, super concerning, guys. One of the reasons why is not only do we have a 10% tornado risk, but we also have a risk for strong tornadoes, and that's in this black color right there that you see with the lines going through it. That includes areas between Sarasota and Fort Myers, all the way up, closer to Millbound, but really areas in between, Orlando, all the way back down there towards towards, these areas. So that's definitely, gonna be something to keep an eye on. And even St. Florence right there also does have a chance of some tornadoes today, but it's really gonna be these areas between Fort Myers and Sarasota, all the way back down towards, Millbound. Like I said, that does have that chance of strong tornadoes today. But really, if you live anywhere in Florida, you should be prepared just in case, as some of these supercells could even go up there towards Gainesville. Who knows exactly how this will play out, but I definitely wouldn't rule out a tornado outbreak, especially because a few strong tornadoes will definitely be possible today. So make sure to be aware about that if you do live just to the south there of Florida or in between Sarasota and Fort Myers. But you should also, have your tornado action plan in place just in case, and that does include, getting prepared for a hurricane if you haven't already. So if you haven't got prepared for a hurricane yet, or if it's impossible to evacuate, make sure to, either evacuate or have that tornado action plan in place just in case. So please make sure to do that, especially if it's impossible for you to evacuate. But I would do it right now before Milton brings strong tornadoes, extreme storm surge, very, very major flooding across much of the state, and, of course, even that potential for tons and tons of damage. So make sure to either evacuate, like I said, or be extremely weather aware, especially if it's impossible to. Let's now go ahead and look at tomorrow. Tomorrow we do still have that threat for a couple of isolated tornadoes across Southeast Florida. That does include the Miami area, all the way back up towards, St. Florence, and, even as far north as Daytona Beach will likely be at risk for both a couple of isolated tornadoes and perhaps even some damaging wind gusts. And that doesn't mean, that Hurricane Milton will still bring damaging wind gusts. That just means, isolated thunderstorms coming off of Milton will have that potential, to produce damaging wind gusts, and that works the same way with, the severe weather in the plains, where these isolated supercells are capable of producing some damaging wind gusts, and that's why they have that wind threat across Southeast Florida. It doesn't have to do with Milton necessarily. And then finally for Friday, we do, expect there to still be a risk for some thunderstorms, but the hazards, as you guys can see, don't have any hazards yet, thankfully. So, Friday definitely is better than what we're expecting both today and tomorrow. So like I said, you should probably get out, this morning before things do start to ramp up more. So, like I said, things, should start calming down a little bit by the time we head into Friday, but still got that risk for a couple of thunderstorms. And, once again, with the rainfall, still, really looking to see a lot of rainfall perhaps. And of course, the flooding too as well. We haven't talked about the flooding yet, but let's go over that before we forget. And the flooding, really does look to be a huge problem in Florida, as we do have a high risk for flash flooding across areas in Tampa, all the way up there towards Orlando, guys. And like I said, you guys in this purple color will see anywhere from 12 to 16 inches of rainfall, but areas near the Tampa Bay area could even pick up as much as 20 inches. And that's going to be for today and tomorrow, as we do still have that high risk in effect, and maybe even continuing into Saturday, but the latest does not show any risk for flash flooding on Saturday. It's just going to be for both today and as well as tomorrow. So make sure to be on extremely high alert right now if you have not gotten prepared yet. But thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy today's weather forecast. If you guys are new here to the YouTube channel, or if you haven't subscribed already, make sure to go down below and click that subscribe button. Like I said, I do appreciate you guys subscribing, but if you guys will continue to subscribe, that will be great. And make sure to also click that notification bell so you are notified whenever I do go live. I'll try to do one later today, but obviously not a guarantee because I may be really busy today also. And I hope you guys all have a great day.